It's reveal season again, and Worldwalker is shaping up to be one of the best expansions yet. I've got 4 ideas for new decks based around the cards we've seen so far. Let's get into them.
I hear it now, the thunderous applause.
Deck number 1, Legion Deserter Go Hard. Now, you might be wondering, why would anybody play Go Hard in the same deck as this card? Well, hear me out. Its ability is I gain all allied everywhere buffs.
Everywhere.
Obviously, this means if another card says everywhere, it gets whatever buff follows that. When most people saw this card, they probably thought Legion Marauders or Mist Wraiths, and yeah, those are much more practical ideas, but take a look at the wording of Go Hard. Once you've cast me 3 times, transform all copies of me everywhere into pack your bags. Now, depending on how Riot defines an everywhere buff, if you cast 3 Go Hards, every single copy of Legion Deserter in your hand and deck are instantly transformed into pack your bags, and for the rest of the game, they'll stay that way. If that combo goes off, they will not turn back into Legion Deserters, they will be permanent copies of Go Hard in your hand. This is still only 3 extra copies of Go Hard at most, or 4 to 6 copies if you run Stalking Shadows, but it's an interesting combo to say the least. Now, I don't blame you if you're a little skeptical about this combo working. To be honest, I've been on and off about whether or not it will work myself, but Legion Deserter's ability does not say when I'm summoned, which means it should give you the buffs while it's in your hand. I have a feeling Legion Deserter is probably going to work the same way that the Arsenal does, so if that's true, it really just comes down to whether or not Transform counts as a buff. Fingers crossed that it does, and I might be playing this deck on day 1 of the new expansion. Deck number 2, Burst Attack Broodfather. Broodfather's ability is attack, draw a unit. If it's a dragon, summon it attacking. Now, when this card was revealed, a lot of people instantly thought of Aurelion Sol, and yeah, it would be really cool to summon an Aurelion Sol for free, I'll admit, but I think there's an even cooler combo you could pull off. Broodfather's ability triggers on attack, similar to Legion Marauders. We know for a fact that if Kalista summons Legion Marauders, its attack ability still works, which means if you use Counterfeit copies to shuffle some extra copies of Broodfather into your deck, and then you attack with a Broodfather, and it draws a Broodfather, and it draws a Broodfather, and it draws a Broodfather, you could potentially attack with a full board of 7/7s at burst speed, which is kind of broken. Deck number 3, Revna Counterfeit Copies. So there's this new card called Revna, the Lore Keeper, that says, when I'm summoned, grant units in your deck my stats, and then draw a unit with 5+ power. When you first saw this card, you probably thought of Ionia hand buffs or Destiny's Call, and those are okay, but they're not great. You've got to keep in mind that this card is a 6-cost 2/2, so spending 14 total mana to grant everything in your deck 10/10 is cool, but it's way too slow. You're going to lose the game. Instead, what if you use Counterfeit copies to shuffle a ton of copies of Revna into your deck and then drop War Mothers? Every time a Revna is summoned, all other Revnas double in health and you draw a unit. 2, 4, 8, 16. If you summon 4 Revnas, your entire deck just got buffed by 30/30. This seems to me like it's probably the most practical way to play this card. Deck number 4, Hunting Boar Kalista. For our final deck, we're going to take one of the worst cards ever created and use it to make one of the best decks in the game. You see, as terrible as Hunting Boar's stats might be, its ability to give us a permanent mana gem when it dies can be exploited. The idea is very simple. What if we use Kalista to bring back extra copies of Hunting Boar and turbo ramp our way to Ledros to finish the game? I've run the numbers, and if you have a good game, you should be able to get Ledros out by turn 6, which is not too shabby. We could also use cards like Splinter Soul, and even Harrowing Return. Chronicler of Ruin is also pretty good, but the only catch to this deck is we can't run any followers with more than 1 attack. We can, of course, make an exception for our endgame units like She Who Wanders and Ledros, but since Kalista brings back the strongest dead ally, all of our early game units need to have 1 attack or less. Still, I feel like this could actually be a really viable deck, mostly just because people won't expect it. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe. I'm planning on uploading some more deck idea videos as more cards get revealed, and I'm going to be testing out all of these decks on this channel once the new expansion drops. But like I said, that is all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.